Hello, kia ora, g'day. I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube. Thank you for joining us for our special Saturday update on Cyclone Alfred. Well, the cyclone has made landfall on Moreton Island, just northeast of Brisbane. The cyclone is starting to fall apart, but now it's very much turning into a rain event, and there's still some very strong winds, damaging gusts across your Saturday. It's been a long night tracking this storm. It has been very slow moving, but now that it's made landfall, it is starting to break apart from a wind point of view at least. Let's have a look at the current tracking from the Bureau of Meteorology. It was Category 1 when we recorded this, but there's a good chance it's lost that category by the time you're even watching this, because that's going to be happening very soon. The warnings area has really shrunk as far as destructive winds are concerned, and then it becomes a tropical low once it moves inland, an ex-cyclone as it moves through. So it's had a slow path coming on in. That's why it has been such a long night for many of you, as the cyclone has taken its time with lots of wind and rain. Let's have a look at the wave heights. We'll start with that. Here's Brisbane right in the middle of the screen. Still some really big waves this morning, 4, 5, 6 meters still around, maybe even higher than that. Let's animate it for the weekend. You'll see that it actually moves northwards a wee bit because the whole cyclone is moving northwestwards. So that kind of pushes in some stronger waves, as does the big northeasterly winds that'll be developing once the cyclone moves further inland. But even here at the end of Sunday, the wave heights are still getting up to about 3 meters or so, and that's still big enough to be blocking some of the rivers and streams that are exiting, and that might back up some of the water still. And obviously with plenty more rain yet to come, that's the main focus now, rainfall. Let's have a look at the 6-hour radar. This is where it was just before midnight last night, Queensland time. Here is the center of the storm offshore. Let's now animate it, and you can see over 6 hours, it really takes its time. But there is Moreton Island where it made landfall. Then it comes into Caboolture, and that's basically where it's lying at the moment, just north of Brisbane, just south of the Sunshine Coast. We're seeing some very heavy rain pushing into the Brisbane area, and very heavy rain also further southwards. Let's have another look at that, because obviously we're focused on the center of the storm, but the numbers you're seeing, those are the wind gusts. And places like Byron in particular, really getting some strong gusts down there in that area. Let's have a look here, 107 k's an hour overnight, plenty of gusts in Byron up to 90, 95, that sort of thing. And then you're seeing some very big gusts as well near the center of Alfred as it moves into land. So windy weather still around, power cuts still possible as we go across Saturday, but the worst of those winds, those what we call destructive winds, they are likely to be easing back by the time we get to the end of Saturday. So let's have a look at those winds. This is how we are around sunrise this morning. Look at the big strong area here in the purple shading. If you're vision impaired, basically that's from Surfers Paradise down to about Byron Bay. That's where you're getting those really strong gusts coming off the sea, still into that damaging area. And again, right around the center of the cyclone, you've still got some very strong winds there. So they're kind of separating apart. That's quite normal once the cyclone starts to unravel. As we move through the day, 1 o'clock this afternoon, still some very strong gusts coming into the Brisbane area, still potentially damaging down to the Gold Coast, and then hopefully below that, further down to New South Wales, the worst of those winds ease back a little bit. But it's not over. This is a slow-moving system. It's got to unwind all that energy that it's had out at sea, and so that's why you'll still get big, strong gusts of wind and the wind direction changing, and that can be problematic sometimes. Some branches on trees can really cope with one direction but not the other, and so you may still get some branches down. That might mean a few more power cuts yet to come on through. As we go into tonight, you can see places like Toowoomba getting some decent gusts of wind as it goes to that higher elevation, and the black line here, which marks the top of the Great Dividing Range, west of that, you're seeing the strongest of the gusts. So the two sort of main windy areas are coastal areas where the wind is straight off the sea, and the other area, the tops of the higher elevation areas, and then further inland west of them. And obviously right around the low itself, which is inland, just to the south of that, that's where you're seeing the wind still being pulled into it, taking it over the top of Brisbane tonight. So let's go into Sunday, big picture now, massive high pressure zone out in the Tasman Sea. That is the reason you're seeing all the windy weather down the eastern coastline, right down to the coastal parts of Victoria. That is mostly high pressure. So the wind up here is a lot of that wind is coming from the high pressure zone and the leftover low pressure from Alfred. So it's no longer really a tropical cyclone at all. I mean, it's not. You can't even see low pressure there by Sunday morning. So let's animate that now so you can get a better idea as to what's going on. Pretty quick animation, but you see it moving in and then kind of just fanning out into more of a straight line wind rather than it circling around a low. You're seeing it offshore as a nor'easter, and that's basically what's moving through, interacting with the hills, making it a bit stronger in local areas. Let's get into the rain now. Here we are, 7 o'clock this morning. Heaviest rain is certainly around the Brisbane area, down the Gold Coast, and we're getting those heavier falls into New South Wales, inland from Coffs. We're seeing some big rainfall numbers in that area, especially inland, obviously. But Brisbane has that heavy rain, the tropical portion of it really feeding into there today. So you're going to see more rain falling. Let's have a look at the bigger picture of rainfall. 4 o'clock this morning until 10 o'clock on Monday. Animate it, and you can see very quickly the areas that are going to be seeing the heaviest rain. As this comes in, falls apart, and we have that big northeasterly flow on the back of the big high. So heavy rain from Maroochydore down to the border of New South Wales and Queensland, and then you're seeing heavier rain at the higher elevation. That's what you're seeing in the blue surrounded by the purple. That is the heaviest stuff. Then it breaks apart for inland parts of New South Wales. The downside is that for those of you further to the south around Victoria, those rainfall numbers aren't as big. So let's have a look here at the bigger picture. So those of you further away can see if there's rain coming for you. And as you see there, it curves around and comes out around Sydney. Not so much further to the south of places like Griffith and going into Victoria. So I'm sorry to say there's not as much wet weather for those who do need rain. But up here, where you probably don't want any more, it's probably better to be seeing not as much rain in that part of New South Wales, but still some very heavy rain up in the hills. And as I said, the rivers, as they're trying to leave, getting out into the Tasman Sea or the Coral Sea, depending on where you are, that could be a bit blocked up at the moment with those larger waves and those strong offshore winds. So let's have a look here at rainfall. Some big numbers over the last 20 hours or so. This is through until just when we recorded this. 245 millimetres here recorded. That's right on the border of New South Wales and Queensland. That's Surfers Paradise. Bit hard to read the place names, sorry. And then you've got that secondary burst of very heavy rain down near Coffs, further inland around from Coffs Harbour. 260 millimetres or so, 270, really big rainfall totals. And remember, this hasn't finished. The cyclone's only just moving in. So the wind falls apart, we forget about the category, we don't talk about the air pressure anymore. Now it's just about rain, really, as we go through the next day or so, although today, Saturday, wind is still definitely a major issue. So please do keep up to date with the Bureau of Meteorology. They'll be providing plenty more weather warnings across today and likely tomorrow as well. But from me, that is my final video on Cyclone Alfred. Thanks for all the comments that you've been posting into us. Thank you for all your local updates. Keep them coming across the weekend. And for our regular Aussie viewers, just to note that we're not going to be here on Monday. We're just going to take a couple of days off, but we'll be back again on Tuesday with your next Australia-only forecast. Take care, be safe, keep up to date with the Bureau. We'll see you next week.